Why should you read Berserk manga? Berserk is a dark fantasy manga series written and illustrated by Kentaro Miura. Its publication started in 1989. Berserk follows the story of a mercenary Guts who is branded with a cursed mark that attracts demons and monsters to him. If you want to read something dark, gritty, depressing as well as hopeful, something with super detailed manga panels, a world and lore where once you enter a part of your soul will always be wandering in the world of Berserk. Once you read it, you realize why it is called a generational phenomenon. Me, who is a hardcore Berserk fan, explaining you anything more than that in my eyes would be like spoiling the experience to you. Well, the story revolves around the main protagonist Guts, who was born on a battlefield from the corpse of his lynched mother underneath a hanging tree, where he was left to die alone in a pile of blood and insides of her mother. A mercenary group led by a man named Gambino eventually happened to pass the grisly blood-stinking site, presuming the infant to be dead. But to their surprise, the child started wailing. The child was taken in by Gambino, the mercenary leader, and his acquaintance Shisu. 3 years later, Shisu, the mother figure of Guts, died due to plague. At age 6, Guts started training in swordsmanship under the tutelage of Gambino, the closest of father figure he has. At age 9, he officially joins the mercenary band under his father. The life of Guts takes a horrific turn when he is sexually molested and taken advantage of by another man in the mercenary band. The man further reveals that he bought the boy for one night from Gambino, his supposed father. Guts' life has been a tragedy from the beginning, fighting for survival, abused, betrayed at every turn of his life. At moments I actually had tears in my eyes while reading the manga. It is seinen manga, but it is not like those cheeky mangas who show blood and violence just because they have the freedom to do so in the name of being 18+. Yes, this takes up the brutality and violence to a whole another level, but there is always a reason for it. It has the purpose for such violence, and that is the beauty of the manga. The parts where it will melt your heart and make you sob like a cry baby is not the action or fight sequences, but the journey and reasons that lead to that in the first place. It is not just an action-centered or fighting-centered manga, but a brilliantly written story as well. The story deals with a lot of questions and themes. The most obvious one is the good versus evil debate. Some other themes are free will versus one's destiny, if ends justify the means, the nature of humanity, greed, gluttony, wrath, envy, and so on. Guts in this open and huge world of Berserk is not an overpowered character. Yes, he has exceptional skills. He is the captain of the raiders of one of the most promising mercenary band. But compared to his enemies, he is heavily underpowered. Always on the edge of death, he never gives up, instead finds ways and motivation to just hang on to life. His never giving up attitude even when all odds are against him and still wanting to fulfill his goal is extremely commendable. I mean, a lot of mangas and shows play on this never give up vibe, but the way and the scenarios in which Guts does it is something I have never seen. At moments I had imagined that for an ordinary person in his shoes, giving up and dying would be more easy and peaceful rather than living and trying to change your cursed destiny. I started reading Berserk because I heard a lot of people talking about how great and amazing it was. This truly piqued my interest, as everyone who had ever read Berserk always says that they have never read anything similar to that. And now after reading I can say that, yes, it is absolutely true. I have never experienced anything like this. Berserk not only has amazing out-of-the-world manga panels but an equally deep and exceptional story and characters. It has the power to take your heart and fill it with hope that finally, perhaps life will go easy on him. You pray to God that please from the next chapter onwards let his life take a peaceful turn. But then it crush your hope in your heart into fine particles, leaving you in shock and scarring your brain. And I am honestly not exaggerating it. Those haunted manga panels gets burned deep inside your brain and is hard to get them out. If some of you who have read it, the eclipse is the peak of depression and mental torture to the readers. I still remember, when I was reading it, my whole face turned red, started feeling hot due to the anxiousness, and could actually hear my heartbeat at that moment. And then came the horrific thing that left me speechless and gave me restless sleeps. If right now you get intrigued to check the eclipse arc and know what happened, don't do that. Don't spoil yourself and make the story predictable and less fun for you. I even started watching the 1997 classic anime after the manga, but it is nothing compared to the real stuff. It has deleted some of the story arcs and one of my favorite characters, Puck, an elf, who is the only jolly character here. He is the only one who brings smile and laughs in this otherwise dark, horrific and depressing thing. Because of this and quite an old style of animation, I dropped it after a few episodes. The manga is truly a generational phenomenon, but the only kind of problem it had was its beginning. In the beginning of the manga, Guts is portrayed as a gruff, rude and cynical man holding an overall bleak outlook on life. The writing and characters feels unnecessarily violent. Even in the first page it is shown that Guts is making out with a woman, who in the middle of it reveals that she is a demon, and Guts blows her brains out. He has a problem with demons, but if someone asks for help against a demon, he without giving any reason denies it, even saying that it's your own fault that you are so weak that you cannot handle it, and if it gets you or you die, it means you deserve it. His such behavior appears cynical and rude in the beginning because the manga starts from the middle of his life without giving any explanation as to why he acts like that. I always say that the beginning of manga is like a pseudo start to story, but it does not mean that it lacks in the field of art style. The panels are still brilliantly drawn. Only after first few chapters the true thought process and psyche of Guts is slowly revealed to us, and why he acts so cold starts making sense. But it does not mean you should skip it cause some important side characters are introduced here and the tone of the world is also set from the beginning. In the era of diminishing attention span, don't be that guy who just skips it cause he read a short synopsis of it online. The other kind of a negative thing, which I should actually not be complaining about, is that the story is not over, as the author and illustrator Kentaro Miura died and manga had stopped publishing for a long time. Currently the manga is taken up by his friend with whom Kentaro Miura used to discuss plots and characters and so on. I hope he continues the journey in a positive way. Although the story is not over, but the beautiful journey to the end, 100% deserves a read by everyone. Everyone who is mentally 18 plus.
Berserk, Volume 1, Chapter 1. Just finished reading it, and I have to say, holy hell. This shit was awesome. Fuck. I don't even know what to think.